No, I think we're about to start.
Yeah, we got 1 minute.
Howdy, howdy.
I'll talk about on time.
A wizard is never late.
There you go. I'm like my husband, on time.
All right, it's 6 o'clock. Bishop Bowden?
Never mind.
Let's pray. Appreciate the Father, Lord. We thank you for once again being able to serve this great community. See blessings over it. Guide us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Everyone will check your mics, make sure they're on unless you're going to be speaking. Got an echo going on.
Okay. Oh.
I need one of these.
Get your marks dropped.
He looks better than normal.
Well, if you're fully vaccinated, CD says you don't have to wear a mask when you're close to other fully vaccinated people, so that's a good thing. So how about a roll call?
Councilmember Deets,
Present.
Bolden,
Here.
Blevins,
Here.
Sansing,
Here.
Ray, Mashburn,
Here.
Trailer,
Here.
Twitty, Smith,
Here.
Raines, Mr. Mayor.
I'm here.
I have one absent, sir.
Okay, so we don't have any minutes or any of
Nope.
that? Okay.
I'm still working on them.
Do I hear anything about the consent agenda? Take a motion to approve the
So
consent.
move we accept the Sunday agenda as it stands.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, that brings us to the Planning Commission, ordinance 1660. I would entertain a motion to place ordinance 1660 on the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion second. Roll call.
Councilmember Deets,
Yes.
Bolden,
Aye.
Blevins, Sansing,
Aye.
Mashburn,
Aye.
Trailer,
Aye.
Twitty, Smith,
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Ordinance number 1660, an ordinance reclassifying property of the city of Jacksonville, Arkansas, amending ordinance numbers 213 and 238, and the land use map of the city of Jacksonville, Arkansas, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Okay, Councilmember Deeks, would you care to explain this ordinance?
Yes, sir, I can. Is Mark on there? I thought Mark might want to, but being in the,
Mark can, is he on?
yeah,
Yeah, Mark, you're
yeah,
welcome
Mark's
to
playing
discuss this.
chairman. Let him do it, and then I can.
All right,
yeah.
Mr. Chairman, unmute yourself. All right, there you go.
Yeah, it's nothing that we really like to do. R0 to R6 is definitely not the right direction. I was not happy with it, but we voted for it, so it says before you guys right now, it's in a neighborhood where there are a lot of trailers, but it is isolated all around by R0. So that's the gist of the whole thing. It's how we want to go with the city. So with that said, the planning commission just offers it up to the city council. You go with how you want.
Bob, if you don't mind, can I speak
Yeah,
on that? Just
go
so that
ahead,
I was there.
Councilmember Deeks.
Okay, so we decided that there was a whole lot of mixed use in there. So there had been a vacant property. There had been a trailer there. His parents own the lot. He's a part owner of the lot. So they were going to go ahead and put a double wide in there, and their family was going to be in there to be closer to his parents, be able to take care of them. So in our estimation, that was better to have a property there and someone taking care of it, maintaining it, and then having a vacant lot that you're having to mow with nothing in there. So that was our reasoning. And we, like Mark said, we're very cautious on how we rezone something to go down. But being where it's at in the area, we just thought it was what was best for the city of Jacksonville and to allow them to do that.
Any other questions?
I've got a question
All right, Councilmember Sampson.
to Mike.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you say this area is completely circled by R zeros?
It's,
Single-family housing?
no, it's a mix of everything. On the front of Dennis Lane, there is a vacant commercial lot that's been there vacant for 20 years. It's out on 161 if you're familiar with the area. So then all around the area, there's houses, dilapidated, and there's trailers. The parents live in a trailer. There had been a trailer on this lot. So basically, that trailer's gone. It's just been a vacant lot. The kids decided to come in to get closer to their parents and put basically a double wide trailer, a fairly nice one, and that's why we approved it, to move them on. We'd rather have something there and somebody maintaining it, paying taxes, and it looking good than having just a vacant, overgrown lot.
Councilmember Blevins.
I have a question. So I've been watching a lot of the planning commission meetings and stuff over the course of the last, basically the last 6 months at least. And changing these classifications from R0 to R6 and also commercials from one to another has been a big point of contention. And we've had a lot of people that it seems that some people get it and some people don't get it. And in this particular instance, after looking at it and also having Mark Stroud on the phone saying that he did not agree with it, and I know there was another group of people, I just feel that this opens up to more people in this same kind of situation coming in asking, and then using this as a basically a claim to say, hey, well, we want this too.
Well, we basically, Councilmember Blevins, look at them at a case-by-case basis. And we utilize the property. We're trying to do standard rezoning classifications at case by case. We already did a amended change for reclassifying property. If you have a property that's R6 and you're going down, then we're probably going to go ahead and allow it, especially in commercial and some of them. But in this instance, if you're real familiar with the property, then you'll understand why we did that. We just felt like that better to have a property there, a house there paying taxes, than a vacant lot. And there's plenty of lots out there. If anybody wants to move out there, there is a whole subdivision out there, Homer Atkins by the school. They have 31 lots that they'd love for someone to own at less than $10,000 apiece. So, I'm just giving you the facts, but there's lots of areas, but we don't like to do the classification and drop down. But in this instance, it's really was what was best for everybody, the area and the family.
Commissioner Stroud, was this unanimous?
Yeah.
Commissioner Stroud, was this a unanimous decision?
No, it wasn't unanimous. Jim Moore voted against it, but I do want to just add, or just say something to Chairman Sansing. Yes, R0 is all around this house. Now, inside this parcel that we were talking about, there's an R5 next to it, but there's an R0 next to that. So it is it's an R6 with R0 circling it and with an R5 next to it. The commercial lot that Mike was alluding to was completely at the very front by the highway. Yes. And I will add this, which is kind of my point, is that before I became chairman, before I came back and moved as a planning commissioner, there was a lot on the front, and it's as you drive in, it's the first lot on the left, that the commission decided to make it R0. I think it was an R6, they made it an R0, and he put a nice house there. My concern is that we're not helping him by 2 houses down making an R6 where it's an R0, because that guy has taken the initiative to make nice fencing next to the highway. He's cleaned up the area and he's got a beautiful house. That's just my concern. So that's it.
Pardon me a second. I need to ask Emily something. Emily, are the comments supposed to be off? Where people can make comments? Okay. Go ahead. Councilmember Traylor.
Okay, this is more, maybe the city attorney can help me, but this particular lot, when it's zoned R6, this person is requesting to put a trailer on the lot, correct?
Yes, sir.
in an R6, how many trailers can then be put onto that lot?
They would all have to be approved. Yeah, this was just like I said, case by case basis.
No, I understand the areas, but what about on that particular lot?
Can you get the microphone?
It's usually
Yes, on
one.
that particular.
It's not a trailer park. It'd
Yeah.
be R7.
Okay,
That's
so
not what
R7
you-
is
they
a
can't
trailer
open up to a
park.
park.
Okay, all right.
It's per
One per lot.
lot.
The key thing here, if you remember, they say it's case by case. So, like Councilman Blunt is saying, what if somebody else wanna do that? It's still case by case, so they would have to come back before the planning commission.
And there is other mobile homes in that, on that street. At least two there was.
Yeah, there's two, probably, there's three, I think. But, and,
And the city does own the lot up front to the right
right.
on Dennis Lane. It's part of the Reeds Bridge property.
Yeah, I drove over there today.
Yeah.
I have a question. Mike, did you say that there was a trailer on there already?
Yes, there had been a trailer on there already.
Okay.
And it had been dilapidated and they'd pulled it off years ago. What happens in a lot of these areas like this on the outskirts of town is, and just like I always tell people, you know, when you get out, the further you get out in the county, the reason people move out in the county and want to move out is because they're not regulated as much. So basically, they don't want to be regulated, so they go in these areas. If you want to be regulated, you end up protecting your house value by moving in Stonewall, or moving in these other nice areas where you have a bill of assurance that protects you. But a lot of people go in the county, and that's why they do it. But you know, for this instance, it was pretty much unanimous, and I just feel like for the city of Jacksonville, we want people to reside here, move here, and hopefully they work here. So that's why we agreed to do it.
Well, can we hear from Jim Moore?
Yeah, he was on there.
Jim?
He was on there.
State your name.
Jim Moore, Planning Commissioner.
All right.
Okay, there was one against this, the vote, like they said, and it was myself. There are 3 trailers down next to a house when you go to the end. On the left, and I was the chairman of the Planning Commission when we approved that first house on the left. The people came in there and they wanted to renovate it. It looked like it was an old barn to begin with, or an old warehouse, and so they wanted to renovate it and live there, and they have really fixed it up real nice. And so I opposed this. I was the only one, because I really think we need to have our mobile homes and trailers, if you will, in the designated zoning that we have, which is R7. I can understand someone wanting to live next to their parents if their parents are needing their help, but there are other ways to do that. So basically, that's why I voted against it. I believe, and there was a lot of discussion on it. It wasn't none of these wham bam, thank you ma'ams. There was a lot of discussion, and I stuck to the way I felt about it, and that's the way I felt.
Thank you.
Okay?
Sure.
It was posted
Okay.
by the rules and regulations, and give anybody the opposition to want to come speak against it, and then nobody showed up at the planning commission that I recall.
Okay.
We had no phone calls.
No phone calls. No
And it
phone-
does,
I got none.
it does abut a mobile home park to the south
Right down
on
the road.
R7. So,
So it's on the left-hand side of Dennis Lane?
yes, it's a mobile home park.
Pardon me?
It's a mobile home park to the left side of Dennis Lane,
See it,
which
Mike?
would be R7.
Google Maps, you rotate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
How many Dennis Lanes are there? Is Google Maps wrong? 'Cause there's like 3 Dennis Lanes. I was looking last night, there's like 3 Dennis Lanes. How many of them are there?
One that I know of, And this one in question, I'm not sure.
I mean, it's showing the trailer park on Dennis Lane and then a road
Yes, that's right.
right north of that on Dennis Lane, and then it actually shows Dennis Lane up there where the old
Yes.
Crook trailer park was.
Right.
That's Garber.
That says
Or
Dennis
that's,
Lane.
that's another, that's not Garber, where Crook's.
Good thing I don't use
Crook
Google
owns one
Maps.
to the left.
That's
There's
the
several,
lane- that's
there's
the
several
lane
parks
too.
on
Yeah.
161. Several mobile home parks.
The mobile homes.
I have another question for Mike.
Yes.
You stated from, like on this one, but the next one that comes in, we'd look at each one as they come to us.
We look at each one that comes to us, and we are trying to keep within the zoning requirements and the regulations of what our Bill of Assurance in Jacksonville wants.
This one you feel strongly for, so why would the next one come up, would you feel against?
Depends where it's at. If there's 5 houses that are really nice and they're wanting to put a mobile home in it, even though there's been one there, that would be.
This area here,
That- right.
there's quite a bit.
There's quite a bit of everything. A mobile home's right past it. It's a little bit of everything, a mixed area. A nice modular home will improve the area 100% compared to having it vacant. A vacant lot, let me tell you what a vacant lot does in the area. You have people that find out it's vacant and they show up there. I've got one that's not zoned in Jacksonville right now, and I have to go out there all the time because they show up all the time, and there's gangs, not gangs, but I don't know what they are. But when I went out there last time, there was a lot of needles, medical things out there, and it really scared me. Right there, it's not zoned in Jacksonville, but it's right by a subdivision in Jacksonville off Graham Road. I've told you, Jimmy, about it. And I was literally scared out there because I could tell they had been meeting out there. Whoever it is, I don't know who it is, but it didn't look safe. And we don't need that, but if you have somebody in property, they're more protective of that property. That's my thing, get people in properties. Do what's best for all the people, and that just felt right to me. I mean, a good mobile home is sometimes, right now that's all they can afford, with the cost of homes like they are, so, that was their only alternative.
Any other questions, comments?
Did the people show up in person?
Yes.
Okay.
They showed up in person and spoke and talked to us about it, and were very sincere and said what he was gonna do, and they planned on being there, and they planned on even getting it permanently attached. We can't make them do that, but there was something brought up about that. But yes, they really, and they wanted to come back to Jacksonville. They'd been here, but they had to leave because the housing was not affordable for them.
Any other questions or comments?
Only thing I've got is, you talk about it's what's out there, but in 10 to 15 years, what's going to be needed? What's going to be out there? And if we continue to go from an R0 to an R6, then the people that are coming behind us are going to have to deal with that same problem. I don't see it.
What's going to be out there, to be honest, Mike, Councilman or Trailer, would be they can go right down and get a really nice lot and build a nice house on that's protected by the city of Jacksonville there, Homer Atkins and Cloverdale. And
But these people that live on Dennis Lane are protected by the city of Jacksonville.
right, but they're all
They
living
are in the city limits.
Right, but they're living in trailers. And they're going to build a stick-built house.
We don't know that they're going to be living in those trailers 15, 20 years from now. At some point, maybe somebody will want to come in and develop that area.
Well, then they can
That's
come
the
to
only-
us and
the only thing. We make it hard on ourselves if we go from an R0 to an R6. How do you get it back to R0 if it ever becomes developable?
Well, that would be something that would have to come before the planning commission.
It's not a platted subdivision now.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, I know the development behind my house was not a plattable subdivision 5 years ago, but it is now, and it's fixing to be a nice addition to Jacksonville. So you never know.
Anybody else got anything they want to add? Okay, I entertain the motion to approve on first reading and place on second reading.
Make a motion.
I got a motion to have a second. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilmember Deeds?
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden? Councilmember Blevins?
Aye.
Councilmember Sansing? No. Councilmember Mashburn?
No.
I can't hear you.
No.
No, okay, thank you. Councilmember Traylor?
No.
Councilmember Twitty?
No.
Councilmember Smith?
No.
Councilmember Raines?
Yes.
Is it 5-4 fail? Okay.
Yeah, 5 to 4.
5-4 it failed. Okay. Well, let's move on. Councilmember Deets, it's kind of your show tonight, so, you have an item of discussion about the hours at City Hall? Huh?
It is, Merciful?
Yeah.
Yeah, it failed. Yeah.
On the discussion on the opening of the city buildings and hours of operation, I just brought up because I just felt like that it was time to move forward and that the city needed to get back to their normal standard business hours, which when everyone was hired on was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And we brought that up and discussed it, and that's just was my ward, and most of my people thought that, and a lot of people I've heard from. I had felt like that was what we needed to do. The council approved it, and we're back for discussion. It was vetoed.
Okay, I mean, my comments are, this decision was not made by just me. It was made by a group of directors here at City Hall, and of course, come June the 1st, we're gonna start open at 7:30 in the morning. Those people, the department heads and myself that are involved in the day-to-day operations, we watched, observed, and listened to the calls that came through on Friday afternoons and the rest of the time during the week. Our goal is always to serve the public the best we can. And all employees, now this is what I want to make real clear. All city employees here at City Hall have worked 40 hours and will continue to work 40 hours a week. Nobody gets less than 40 hours. If they do, they're taking vacation or sick time. And I just want to make that real clear. And this isn't etched in stone. If 6 months from now we see that we need to be open Friday afternoon, we will, and not be open at 7:30. But that's when the community service people are here, and that's when some of your contractors are here to get their start on their building permits.
Okay, so wait a minute, we're not talking about opening up on June the 1st under normal hours, we didn't operate, I guess, last week.
No.
You vetoed that.
Right.
Now what I'm hearing is we're not gonna be open on Friday afternoons?
Right, but we are gonna be open at
Why?
7:30 in the morning.
Why?
Because we
Why
have
would we
more
open on
traffic.
Friday afternoons.
Because we have more traffic in the morning than we do Friday afternoon.
We have more business calls in the mornings too, but we don't shut down in the afternoon. Somebody may need to get here in the afternoon.
Okay, well,
I mean, that's ridiculous.
I had a call from someone from Maumelle that came to our police department at 3 o'clock and could not get in on Friday.
well, that changes June the 1st.
It changes to what, June 1st?
Well,
Not on Friday is what you're saying.
yes, on Fridays, yes, yeah.
Friday will be 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock.
No.
Well, 7:30 to 5, Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 4, and that's just City Hall. That's not, police department's gonna be open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Where was that? When was that said? Excuse me, when was that
The
said?
governor's releasing his emergency medical mandate, which we've been operating under, which means we'll have no Zoom meetings come June.
Everybody has to be in place.
You have to be in person. If you're not in person, you don't count.
Then why would we not go back to operating hours like we've always had, 8 to 5? Like, other councils, other cities are 8 to 5. When you go to theirs, Jacksonville's the only one that I know that's not.
As I said, we watched, listened, and looked to the traffic patterns and thought we
Is
could
there a
best
phone
serve
log
the city.
to show us this?
No, there's not phone logs, there's not a study, it's just the people that work here watched it and paid attention.
In the newspaper, you stated that the time that you looked at was 2019.
Yes.
Like 2020 is when we had you know, the big COVID, and time has changed completely. And people need this more than ever. And also, not to mention, like, when you think of government buildings, like, for as long as I can remember, like, needing to go down to the DMV or any kind of government building, it's always been 8 to 5. Always.
Okay.
Like, I mean, those hours are, you know, synonymous with government buildings. Yeah.
Hey, and like I'm saying, this isn't set in stone, isn't permanent, but y'all do what you want to do.
Let me ask the question. Because I come down during the week. I'll come in, come to Cheryl's office, go in the engineering office to check on everybody, see how they're doing. And in my supervisory status, I always wanted proficiency in work. As long as the job's getting done, I'm good with you closing. I'm just gonna keep it real. And I think we as council members need to literally know what areas we have rights over. And I'm gonna ask the city attorney if you could give us some idea of what the municipal league said, because I was on the phone with them the other day, and I'd just like for you to give me some ideas of what they say.
Yeah, so I've had a few questions about the powers of council, and it's actually in statute 1443-502, if you guys want to look it up. Basically, it says that city council possesses all the legislative powers granted under this title and all corporate powers of the city that aren't prohibited by an ordinance. So some cities, I think North Little Rock has one, they have an ordinance that kind of limit or prohibit what council can do. Jacksonville doesn't have that. So you guys have pretty broad authority.
Excuse me. All right, I believed this before, and I still believe it, especially after that we do have the legislative authority to set working hours for City Hall. Now, that being said, and I voted to do this, I'm willing to take a wait-and-see attitude and see what kind of complaints I get about 5 o'clock. And I want to know what everybody else hears about staying open till 5 o'clock on Friday.
And I do too.
I'm willing to grant the experiment, as it were, but it's to see if it's since they're up here all the time and the department heads are all the time. But if I start hearing issues, the rest of the council starts hearing issues about people that need to get in here afternoon on Friday, we need to immediately revisit this issue and exercise our authority to change it back.
So Councilmember Sansing, there's already been issues brought to our attention tonight. So we're dealing with that tonight, right?
We're here to serve the citizens of Jacksonville, not close our doors so they can't get in on certain hours. I mean, as far as I can remember back, as long as there's been council, this office has been open from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I mean, there's a lot of times at our office that we're not open. We're not busy, but we're open. You never know when somebody's gonna come in. If that one person wants to come in here at 4 o'clock on a Friday, we should be here to serve that one person.
I would also like to state that in the newspaper, there was an actual comment from the mayor that was given to them making a statement that he is here to serve the residents and do what is best for the residents, not what the council thinks. And I thought that was a little insulting, thinking that, you know, basically you basically said that we're not here to do what's best for the residents, that only you are. And I mean, I felt very insulted by that comment, because when we all unanimously made that vote when you weren't here, like, none of us did it for us to come up here. You know, we did it for the residents of this city, for the people that have contacted us saying they want to be here, for all the thousands and thousands of people that know that government hours are 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You know, we didn't do it for our own personal, like, yeah, got them. You know, we did it for the residents.
Well, you know, since we're talking about insult, people are gonna make a comment while we were gone that when a council member come in, I want you to know I'm in the building. What the mess? I mean, we're talking we're better than the community. We're not better than the community. We're servants. That's what our job is. That's why I was elected. I was elected to be a servant, not to be better than anybody on that street, including the homeless. And that's what I truly believe. So when those comments were made, you're sending a message out to all the ones that work for us. We're dictators. Ain't nobody up in here no dictator. I served the military 24 years, and I had a rank high enough that when I came in the room, they said, uh-oh, top's in. We don't do that in civilian life. So that was an insult to our workers. We got workers that are busting their butt out here. We got, Cheryl, I know you standing over, I don't have my glasses. That Cheryl over there? You go back in that finance department, they working their hindies off. You know, you got Susan over here, she don't have nobody down there. People don't want to stay down there for whatever reason. And so we got all this going on. We're trying to get everything done in this city.
Did you hear that yet?
What, did I say something wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I said if it offended somebody, okay, boom. I didn't mean to offend you. I'm just saying for whatever reason. I don't know what reason. But the bottom line is, we've got to watch what we say up here. Ain't none of us up in here more important than that community.
I don't think anybody up here thinks that either.
Oh, that's what you're saying. But I'm saying what I heard from people, from workers. That we don't want the people that work for the city thinking that we think we're better than them. I mean, let's just keep it real. I don't lay my life on the line for the United States government.
Point of order. What does this have to do with the actual discussion at hand?
Let you know what's out there, because he brought up about being offended.
I brought up a comment about the veto that was relevant to this.
We've gone down the rabbit hole. Let's.
I'm out the rabbit hole. I'm
all
going
right.
out the fox with grenade.
All right.
I'm not Mayor Johnson, can I speak? I'm not offended, and I'm not against anybody. I think if you'll look at it, I was trying to get us back to normal operating hours, which are standard business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We got a position being right now for an employee. What's the position on the city record that we're hiring for? What's the time frame? 8 to 5. New deputy city person. So we're gonna hire her for 8 to 5, and she's got kids she's got to take to school at 7:30. So she can't make it here, but you hire her, and then you tell her your hours aren't 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. No, they're 7:30. I mean, let's get on what's on the city page. What are we advertising? I'm just looking at it. We are hiring, trying to get Susan an employee. You know, if everybody gets their job done, I don't have a problem, like I said. But I think someone needs to be there. I know if somebody's at that desk that's capable of doing the job and not Susan, coming and opening the door and doing everything, everybody else leaves at noon, she's going to probably still be here, because I know that the way it is, and probably some other ones, maybe Cheryl, I don't know. But I don't get to work a banker's hours, never have. Didn't choose that profession. But, you know, I just feel like that people, if they sign on for 8 to 5, that was the job they signed on for. If you're, you know, and that was my point. If you want to change it, everyone's gracious to change it, I'm fine with it. I know if the chief gets a call tonight at 10 o'clock, he's coming.
If
right?
I get a call, I'm a chaplain. If I get a call, I get it.
Yeah, and I do too. If I get a renter that has a property that's busted down, you know, I don't want to. I'll go deal with them. But I'm just saying, you know, it's whatever's best for the city of Jacksonville and all the citizens, not for what's best for the employees. The employees signed on, and they knew the hours were Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. That's all I got to say as far as that. And as far as that, y'all can agree whatever you want to do, Bob, if that's what's good. But I will say this. I know, Bishop Bolden, you was a good leader. You lead it by example. Am I right?
200%.
So if we're going to open at 7:30, what time are you going to be here, Mayor Johnson? 9, 10? Huh?
Not 7:30.
There you go. So what time are you going to be here to watch the troops?
Yeah, Susan's not going to be here at 7:30. We're elected officials.
Exactly. But you are a leader, and a great leader leads by example.
I have a question for the city attorney. City attorney, can we override Bob Johnson's veto?
Yeah, to override the veto, there would need 2/3 vote from the council. There need to be 2/3 vote.
I'd like to make a motion to override the mayor's veto.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Okay,
What are we voting to veto?
to veto.
I'm really confused.
We're going to veto to eliminate his veto and go to the hours and everything we
Override
discussed.
my veto and go back to 8 to 5.
Monday through Friday.
Right.
Effective when?
Immediately, because it was supposed to be in effect. No, it's supposed to be effective as of the 17th of May, which you know, we didn't do because it got vetoed. So I would say if we override it, in effect like starting tomorrow.
So,
Well, I would say.
Can I,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think we can start tomorrow.
Some people have been coming in.
Yeah, I was just stating, yeah, yeah.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it would be the
Yeah.
June first.
Yeah, if you say June the first, that's when the governor's removing everything and buildings will be open, all the time on June the first.
I have
if
a
we
question.
vote on this veto, can we make the effective date be June the first? Because
I think
that's
if it's
only-
part of the motion, yes.
Fine with that.
Everybody is set, I mean,
If
we
it's
have
part of
Memorial
the
Day on the
motion, yes.
31st,
Also, the mayor's just said the governor's
but,
gonna open everything back up.
but still the hours of operation is what we're vetoing then.
Well, and in the motion, if the motion is to override my veto and start open City Hall 8 to 5, starting June 1.
Yes. I would also like to state that I was looking at the screen and Tara Smith has been trying to talk, and I don't know why the volume is so low. I believe she was trying to talk. I could be wrong, but I saw it light up as though she was talking.
I was, thank you,
You're welcome.
Councilman Blevins. Mr. Mayor, does that include, is the police department open on Fridays now? And if they are not, we also need to include them
They're-
being open on Friday.
They're gonna start June the 1st as well.
Okay, thank you.
No, they're not. They're shut down.
Chief, you close on Friday? You're not closed on Friday?
They have the same hours, the police department, that's what we discussed
Yeah.
at the last meeting. The police department has the same hours as City Hall. But Mr. Mayor, are you comfortable with June first yourself? Are you comfortable with that date, June first?
Yeah, I mean, that's when the governor's releasing everything, so yeah, that's a good date. So your motion, let me restate your motion, make it clear. It's to override my veto and for City Hall to start June the 1st, being open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Let me ask a question, what's the purpose of overriding the veto if we're already gonna go to the governor's statement on the time?
Well, because that's gonna open from 7:30 to 5, Monday through Thursday, so instead of 7:30, it's gonna be 8.
But it's gonna be all day Friday.
Yes,
Yeah.
And you said.
8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
As of June first, you.
Sure.
Is comfortable with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's our I would just know how many people here at 7:30 and 7:10, we let people in, so yeah,
Not citizens though, citizens, I mean,
Well, yeah, they're the community service people, they're people needing building permits and things of that nature, they just will have to wait till 8 o'clock.
what they're used to for years.
Okay? Any further discussion? All right, let's do it. I think we just do it by voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, ayes have it. Veto's been overridden. June the 1st, we'll start opening 8 to 5. The next item of discussion is the, Councilmember Deets wants to discuss the, purchase of North Metro by Unity Health.
And I would love to thank everybody for getting that done. That's a very big plus for our city. Do not get me wrong, and I do not want to do anything to make them uncomfortable, because we need them here. And I agree with that. The only question I had was just the way that it was presented and was presented to us. And the other thing was on the, that originally we thought there wasn't going to be any cost, and I understand that there will be, but I think it'll be a justified cost. But we just need to know what's going on in the city. If we're going to be city council members and we need to know what's going on. And Stephanie needs to know everything that's going on and be enlightened on everything, because that's why we got a elected city
Okay.
attorney.
All right, let me make a comment on this. And we did not have Stephanie representing the hospital board as our counsel. We had 2 attorneys on the hospital board, and we had outside counsel as well.
I do represent the city.
You do represent the city. Okay, so as chairman of the Jacksonville Medical Center, Inc., I signed the necessary documents with Unity Health in hopes of securing quality health care for the residents of Jacksonville. They are starting with emergency room, but they plan on doing surgeries. They plan on doing labor and delivery if it's needed. They're gonna be a full-fledged hospital all the way, and plan on putting about 30 million into the hospital. On the first day of my term, Chief Laffey asked me, expressed the need for an additional ambulance. as he says, we cannot effectively serve the citizens of Jacksonville without one. Should the money be available, the position to staff the ambulance, I'm talking about next year, if the money's available for the 2022 budget, those 6 new positions be in there, and it will be your decision as a council whether those 6 positions stay in there or not.
Parliamentary inquiry?
Yes.
In the contract, there is no clause that says if the money's available. It says that the city of Jacksonville will staff the ambulance unit.
But it's a non-binding letter of
No,
agreement.
I have the actual executed
Okay.
contract, not the letter of intent. I have the contract that I've been asking for weeks.
I-
I got it today. This is binding, and there is no clause that says if we have money for these employees. It says that we will staff the ambulance.
Okay, and that's the asset purchase agreement?
Yes.
Okay, but I only signed that as chairman of the Jacksonville Medical Center, Inc., not as mayor.
Did anybody hear me?
Well, but
So are you
I
trying
said, did
to
anybody hear me?
on
Like,
that?
I have a parliamentary inquiry here.
Sign that in capacity as mayor so that that portion.
Yeah, I got my
if
mic
the
on.
if the city doesn't have the money to staff the position, they don't staff the positions.
Is Unity aware of that? Because based on this contract, that's not what it says.
They will be aware of it.
After we've
So
already signed it?
I have a question. I have a parliamentary inquiry here. I don't understand why there's debate going on from the chair. From my understanding, the chair's not supposed to be in debate. Is that correct? Or am I misunderstanding?
I'm not even sure what you're asking.
Typically, yes, but because Bob is in the unique position of having signed this contract, I think that's why he's offering his input.
Chief Laffey, could you explain why the citizens of Jacksonville need a 5th ambulance, or Chief Jones, one of you, need the extra ambulance?
I can explain why we need one. Since 2010, the number of emergency responses that we've had up to now have increased 70%. So we're talking about anywhere from about 2,800, give or take, EMS responses in 2010 to last year, it was almost 4,800. So that's a 70% increase, with a 0% increase in new assets for these EMS responses and a 0% increase in personnel to respond to these emergencies. And that's something that we've been talking about for years. That was a 3 to 5 year plan that I presented before the previous mayor. And then about 2 to 3 months into your office, sir, I presented that 3 to 5 year plan. And we've been in discussions about a 4th ambulance and 6 personnel ever since.
Chief Laffey, do you have in your budget enough money to staff 6 EMTs for in perpetuity?
We haven't, and we were Mayor and I were in discussions last year, I want to say summertime, preliminary discussions about proposing that in the 2022 budget.
When you were speaking with the mayor, it sounds to me like he definitely said you're on board. Did you have any conflict at all? I mean, was there ever any question to this, or were you just definitely just on board, like, yeah, let's get this money and make it happen?
I don't want to speak for Chief Laffey, but I would think if
I just want to know
every time
in
we have
his.
a budget meeting, they're always wanting something, right?
Yes.
I mean, so whether or not
I just want to know
in
in her.
we can get the money, but I would hope that you would ask for the money every
Correct.
year, like you would do. So
Yes.
Yeah, I
being
was
on
just wondering
board,
if
it
you
would
had
be
any
like saying,
concerns.
no, I don't want it. I don't think that's going to happen.
So
I mean,
do
you
you
would
see,
want it.
do you see any issues with the provision in the contract that limits the use of this ambulance to the non-emergent patients going to Cersei? Do you see that being an issue?
I've not seen the contract that you've mentioned. I've seen the letter of intent that was given to me 2 days ago.
The contract's identical to it.
Well, the contract says that this ambulance unit will be allowed to only transfer non-emergent patients to Cersei.
No, that was
Right
not.
here, Bob.
Right, I know it may say that, but that's not what we discussed with Unity.
But it's what you signed. Here's a copy, by the way, if you want to read it.
I got one.
Okay, well, I'm glad you found it, because I know we've been
I
asking
just
for
got
it for
it
a while.
today.
Oh, okay.
I got
It
sitting
was
there.
signed December 2020.
Why are we sending our patients from our hospital to Searcy.
We're not. We're currently not doing that.
No, but that's what this 6 EMTs that we're gonna hire, isn't that the plan?
Well, Chief Laffey just said that he has not seen that contract, so he has no clue.
When that was originally discussed with me, Mayor and I had some discussions about that, and that was something in the preliminary talks. And I did have a concern that we may not be able to sustain that because our EMS service right now is strictly emergency response only, meaning that we don't do non-emergency transfers. That isn't something that we couldn't entertain in the future, but right now we don't have the manpower and the resources to do that. So when that was brought to my attention, I had concerns that not to get locked into a contract where we may have to obligate city funds and taxpayer dollars and resources to a private entity. My question to the mayor at the time was, can I see the contract before that's signed, and is that legal? I'm not an attorney, I was making an assumption.
Now, did you have discussions with Unity Health on emergency comes first and transfer second?
We had a meeting with Unity, and I don't remember the date, I've got it written down. Do you remember the date on that? It was November 5th. Myself, Chief Jones, and Dr. Flamick went to Unity, and we had a discussion, a brief discussion about that. And we had concerns about our capacity for non-emergency transfers. And the discussion was that, and I'm paraphrasing here, we couldn't sustain that, so in order for that to happen, we'd have to get other community partners to help us, like maybe MEMS, or there was a time where Southern Paramedic Ambulance Service actually staffed 1 or 2 ambulances out of one of the buildings here in town. They're no longer in town. We would have to get community partners to help us do that. We couldn't do it just on our own.
Right. So, and we also need to look at the overall picture. I mean, we're going to transport people that we cannot take care of. That's what we're looking at. The other side of that is, it's not $360,000 or whatever it's going to be to budget them. We're going to get reimbursed for some insurance money, which would be a big amount. So, you know, that part we need to consider. We get reimbursed by the hospital or their insurance companies if we have to transport somebody. Am I wrong or right?
We do get reimbursed for it, but I don't have the numbers to tell you what that would be.
But I know, that's what I'm saying though, but
Right.
that could be a big amount.
Who pays for the gas
Yeah.
and the insurance? Who pays for all that? The city?
Well,
Chief, who pays for that?
Well, the fuel would be paid by us.
yeah, I mean, if we get I'm guessing that's a substantial amount of money that they're giving us with that fully stocked ambulance, which is really good. So that's an A plus. That's helping us in the city, you know, for better service, so we don't run an ambulance. The money part is that it is going to cost us some money down the road, I'm sure, but it's really going to be a great benefit for the city of Jacksonville. So let's keep that in mind when we're discussing it, because we've wanted a hospital here for a long time, and I still want one. I just am uncomfortable about the way it went about for us to get it. Not with Unity, but with the information that we didn't have fully, that wasn't fully explained to us. And that's my problem. I wanted Stephanie and Bob and them to say, look, this is why we're doing it, and explain it to us. Keep us informed. Let us know what's going on, and we'll really be happy. And the citizens will too. That's who we represent. So we do thank you. I know you do a lot of diligence in your work and everything, you and every staff member here, and we appreciate you and everybody and all of our city employees. So everyone will know that.
If
Well,
we
it's
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, this, and I just don't understand things, I guess. Could you give me an example of what you're talking about? A non-emergency transfer? Give me an example. I don't know what
Yes,
that is.
I'll let somebody smarter than me, my EMS chief, explain that to you.
Okay, so a emergency is when someone calls in 911. By law, as far as EMS is concerned, anyone who dials 911 that considers it's an emergency, we have to respond immediately right then. An inter-facility transfer would be going from one hospital to another. And going back to kind of her question, with Unity Jacksonville would be a subset of Unity in Searcy, and some of their specialists will be in Searcy, so they would, of course, route people back to Searcy. But not every patient leaving out of this hospital would be going back to Searcy. They would be going to Little Rock because some of the patients couldn't be handled up there. They have to go to another specialist in Little Rock. We do have,
So would it be from the Jacksonville facility to another hospital then? Is
It
what we're
could be.
talking? I mean,
It could be, yes.
Could it be somewhere else though? I mean, could it be going
it
from-
would just be Little Rock.
Okay, but I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be going up to pick someone up in Searcy and driving them to Little Rock.
Negative.
It would be Jacksonville. So a 90% chance it would be a citizen of Jacksonville that we would
Yes.
be servicing. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
99.5.
Yes.
So we're not getting patients from Cersei and bringing them down here.
No, ma'am.
But we will be taking patients from here to Cersei.
If there's
To
a
the specialist if needed.
specialist there that we can't service, yes.
Who gets the money when we take them to Cersei? Does Cersei get the money, or do we still get the money?
So the way that works is we have a billing fee schedule that we revised in 2018. And not knowing what was coming, we went ahead and added the non-emergency transport fees in there, just in case. Because we knew something would happen eventually, and we may have to, we're required by Arkansas state law that if there is a trauma patient in that facility and they need to be transferred out immediately, we have to do that transfer. So it's kind of an emergency transfer. So we went ahead and put those fees in there. And depending on the requirement of the patient at the time, depends on how much the fee would be. Let me see.
But still, it would be 99. My point was it was gonna be, majority of it, we're gonna be serving the citizens of Jacksonville. when
Oh,
we do
yes.
these transfers.
So is
Yes.
there a separate contract with Unity where they've agreed to these terms? Because it's not outlined in this
No,
contract.
No, ma'am.
not that I know of.
So have,
Yeah, our ALS non-emergency rate would be $550. Which,
Is that a contract right there between us and Unity?
negative. This
Okay.
is what is on the city ordinance that we had set in 2018,
Pay.
which,
We're on 2018.
yeah,
2018.
Which-
Pay the city.
we have our plans to come back and talk to you at a later date about those prices because COVID has thrown prices ridiculously out of proportion
Make
with
sure-
our
Make sure
expenses.
you guys do that quickly for the next budget meeting.
Yes, sir.
I have a question. This is Alderman Ashburn.
Turn it up.
Chief
Yeah.
Lofty, can you
Who's
tell me
speaking?
how
No,
many?
Barbara?
It's Barbara.
Yes,
Yeah, can we turn that up, Emily? Okay, try again, Barbara.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you, Chief Lofty, can you tell me how many people it would take for that one ambulance and what the cost of hiring and keeping those, people running that one ambulance for a year? Or do you know?
Well, the salaries with benefits with those 6 personnel is going to be $370,000, $788 every year.
And Chief Laffey, do those EMTs also serve as fire protection?
They do serve as fire
That's right.
protection.
Yes, sir.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, though.
Yes.
And those ambulance runs will get reimbursed some of those salaries.
But that $370,000 is not someone sitting around waiting on an ambulance call.
No.
They have other jobs.
They have other jobs, yes.
There
Yes.
will be situations though where we will have, or we will be down people because they're making a 2-hour round trip to Cersei then,
Correct.
at our bill.
Can I ask a question? Would we do that transfer now and charge somebody $500? If they called and requested it? Would we do it now? If we had a facility? If it was
If we
North
had a
Metro?
If we had a facility,
A
yes.
non-transfer to Cersei, we would do it now, right?
Yes.
So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Depends on the language and the,
We're getting a $300,000.
we're getting a free ambulance. It's a great
Right, that's
deal.
the good thing.
Now, what we're getting is a hospital.
Well,
Well, the ambulance is free.
the ambulance is free, the personnel is not. Right.
But what we are also getting is a hospital.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
So,
We're getting an emergency, we're getting more than we have now.
right, and they're gonna be a full-fledged hospital. They're gonna do outpatient surgeries. They're gonna see if there's need for labor and delivery. They'll do labor and delivery.
When is that gonna happen?
Yeah, when,
Well, it's about a 4-year plan for it to get fully,
Contract saying
it
that?
says a reasonable time.
yeah,
which is
reasonable
subject.
time. And, you know, how long does it take? Is it gonna take 9 months to get the first phase done? Is it gonna take 11? You don't know. You're gonna go look over there now. There's nothing on that bottom floor.
Question, why did you not run this past Stephanie so she could look at it and bring it before us? Why was all this done behind us? and behind
Because
Stephanie?
I was under a non-disclosure agreement, and the hospital board has no public funds, and
But we have a city attorney that we pay, elected city attorney that needs to know.
But-
She can tell us on the, I mean, I think it's great that we're getting unity. I think it's wonderful. I just wish we'd have known all the terms. And
Right.
you're disagreeing with what Stephanie's telling you there, so, I mean, are we gonna get an up-to-date one, or?
Right, like, question, so with the non-disclosure agreement,
That doesn't exist with a municipality. I mean, in the rare case it would exist, there's like an open bid, you can't ask for your competitor's bid, things like that. But because we're a government agency, the FOIA laws are pretty broad for Arkansas. I don't see how this would preclude me from looking at a contract.
right.
Chief Jones has a comment, and after that, I have a question whenever you all are done.
So, since I've taken over in 2015, one of the first documents I sent to Chief Laffey was the need for a fourth ambulance to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not just on the hospital side. We were seeing that trend upward in run volume in 2015. And that was when we had a contract service in the city to assist us with those calls. When North Metro closed, that contract service didn't fold up. They closed their doors too and moved out of the city because they couldn't sustain business. So there's been a couple trending patterns with that. You no longer have 2 extra ambulances in the city to help you with emergencies. You no longer have that luxury of having someone right here. So when we have multiple calls at one time, we're having to call around to see who can come into the city and help us. Right now, as it is, we're losing an ambulance on average 47 minutes from the scene, from the time they dial 911 until that ambulance gets back into the city, going to whichever hospital they go to.
Whether it's Spring Hill or.
Spring Hill, UMS,
UMS,
Arkansas
yeah.
Heart, which is the furthest we go. So in that, we've increased the run volume. So we've been looking at needing this, and it's gotten to a precipice point right now to where if we don't do it right now, it's going to really hurt the citizens. Because
Chief, could you repeat that statement clearly so it can be heard?
it's going to really hurt the citizens.
Say it again.
It's going to really hurt the citizens, and I'm not just saying that because with all this is something that's been working progressively, and we've needed it. We just haven't had the funds to do it. We do have an ambulance that's a 2011 year model that's got 186,000 miles on it that we need to replace and make it a better one. This last snow apocalypse that we had to abandon the ambulances because they couldn't make it anywhere. So this one that we have ordered on the PO, it is a 4-wheel drive ambulance that will make it. So every time that we look at these things, we're doing evaluations, we're looking at what our patient complaints are with the heat during the summer, the comfort level. We make modifications on the ambulances that we buy. This time it was a modification on the drivetrain so that we can make it to an emergency if something like the snow apocalypse ever happens again. Now we need to add the people and get that ambulance running 24 hours a day.
To be clear, I'm not trying to dissuade getting a new ambulance.
Right.
I'm more concerned with the way this was executed.
Oh,
and
yes,
that I
ma'am, I
found out
understand.
2 hours before City Council about a contract that was signed in December. That's my issue, so
Yes,
please
ma'am.
don't take it personally.
Oh,
I'm
no,
all
ma'am.
for this, but I'm also all for being
Right.
involved.
Everybody sitting up here is all excited about Unity coming.
Yes.
We don't like how it was presented and how it did not go before the city attorney and it did not go before the council, which it should have done both.
Yes, ma'am.
There's not one person up here that's gonna say that, oh, we don't want them.
No.
Because we do,
No.
we're excited
Right.
about it.
Right.
We just wanna have the knowledge of what's going on before it happens.
Yes, ma'am.
Like it should be.
Right,
And what
we
exactly we're
definitely,
getting, sorry.
we definitely do appreciate you guys and your service, and I'm sure that we're going to be looking forward to having this ambulance because we are contractually obligated now as of December 2020, you know. I would have been all for getting you an ambulance and an entire unit without having a contract signed, without our acknowledgement or knowing of, or without even our city attorney knowing about it. You know, that's the issue at hand. And Chief Laffey, I know that your service is stretched really thin. You know, you've discussed it a number of times, and I'm glad that I'm in a seat to be able to maybe help you with that. You know, I'm not okay with the mayor signing a contract without our city attorney's knowledge of it and us getting it half a year later.
I recognize Mr. Wilson.
Mike Wilson.
Get your microphone and.
Is that why you gave me that?
Mike Wilson, hospital board
the
member.
debate over the mobile homes reminded me powerfully why I have no business on the planning commission or the city council. I want to make it as clear as I can that all the deliberations of the hospital commission, hospital board that we refer to, have been open to every member of the public at all times. And to my knowledge, we were never covered, even though notices were given to the newspaper, we were never covered by the local papers or the state papers about our deliberations. I could go into great detail of all the efforts that were made by the hospital commission over about 2 years that this went on, and it was delicate, and it was lengthy, and it was drawn out and difficult. When the letter of intent with Unity was executed in September of last year, it was followed by the asset purchase agreement that's been referred to, all in public session by the hospital commission and open to the public as any other public record would be. Nobody hid anything from anybody.
Mike, as an attorney, sorry to interrupt you, the last place you want to hear about your client's actions is in the paper, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
As an attorney, when you're representing a client, the last way you want to hear about what your client is doing is through the newspaper,
Sure.
correct? Right. You
Sure.
would prefer for your client to come to
The
you.
entire
We shouldn't have
public,
to dig through
though,
the
and
newspaper
every
to
citizen
find
of
out what's happening.
Jacksonville has been openly allowed or had available to all of us every document that has anything to do with the sale or negotiation with the hospital.
But
It's
Bob
there
also
for the
said he
whole-
was bound by a
It's
non-disclosure
there for
agreement,
the whole
right?
world to see. and
Well, that's
has
mainly
been.
talked about their finances.
So which is it? It's open to the public or it was a
And
non-disclosure?
as far as the hospital
Well, our
commissioners,
discussion open to the public, but
As far
their
as-
financial records
as far as the
that I got
hospital
to see,
commission,
I wasn't able to discuss.
Well, you said the
You said the
non-disclosure
contract.
agreement.
Hold on, y'all. Hold it. Mr. Wilson is speaking.
as far as the hospital commission is concerned, every document that is generated through minutes, through papers, through letters or whatever is a public document. It uses taxpayers' funds for the taxpayers' public health benefit. We're all, I think, even in this discussion, we're all concerned about how we can accommodate Unity in the operation of what to us is a brand-new hospital that we got for we, the community, got for a bargain price. And anybody in the whole world is welcome to see that and do the numbers and so forth. I will say to you, I myself thought that the ambulance provision was relatively minor. We're talking about many millions of dollars invested by us and invested by Unity, or will be invested by Unity in this operation. We don't want, we the community don't want, and I know you don't want, anyone to think otherwise, that we're anything but completely supportive of what those folks are doing and will be doing here. I shouldn't be making speeches like Stephanie told me, but so far as the hospital commission is concerned and the people that are on it, all of us that are on it, we're public servants too. And everything we do can and should be open to your information. Maybe we didn't do such a good job in communication at times, but we were more concerned about closing that transaction and making public health improvements better and available to all the folks here. Now, shoot me if you want to, but that's where we are. I just don't want to serve on the city council plan.
I have a question for you, Mr. Wilson. On the actual asset purchase agreement, the one that I asked, I tried to give it to Mayor Johnson, and he said he just got it today, which is kind of weird because he signed it like back in December 2020. But I'm just wondering, in this asset purchase agreement, it says here on the main cover, asset purchase agreement by and between Jacksonville Medical Center, which is the Jacksonville, the medical board, or the hospital board, and White County Medical Center, which is Unity Health, correct? Right. Now, in this, there's a provision for this contract between only Jacksonville Medical Center and White County Medical Center, obligating the city of Jacksonville to spend their funds for a private entity. Do you, as a lawyer, do you feel that this is legal to say that, this other entity that's not even involved in this contract right here will spend their money and their services?
Okay. I think a good deal of the confusion and maybe some disagreement regarding this project is that it's a three-way agreement. Unity on one side, the city on one side, and the hospital commission. So it's complicated. I don't mean to suggest that it's not difficult, but in order for Unity to make this transaction work and to pay the debts that had to be paid of the former hospital operator, the city had to put cash money into it and did.
The hospital board, not the city.
Well, the hospital board, and again, forgive me, but I treat us all as the same. I think, in my mind, we are the same.
Because those are private funds and they are not public funds.
Well, nevertheless, we treat them like they're holy, and
yes,
and they are. In order to make the transaction work, though, Mr. Blevins, it took outside money to be put into it, and it required that to satisfy some of the debts of the former hospital operator in order that Unity could receive good title to the property, real estate, and all the rest that goes with it. So, yeah, the biggest part of our efforts, the hospital board's efforts, had to do with satisfying the debts and determining what they were and if they were valid, and satisfying the debts of the former operator, which we did. The mayor went to the Department of Workforce Services. They had a huge claim in this. The mayor went to the Department of Health and Human, not like DWS, Department of Welfare Services.
And DF&A.
DF&A, the Revenue Department.
And we even had to get the assessor involved.
All of that,
But you
not
didn't get
mention the
council involved,
IRS.
but you needed to.
And
That's the
this
issue.
is
everybody.
Not really a 3-ring circus, about a 10 or 12-ring circus to get all this organized and done, and took a tremendous amount of time and effort, all of which was done and the transaction was closed. And I'll have to admit, for my part anyway, we the board, hospital board, understood that we needed to provide another ambulance. And it never dawned on me that that meant salaries and benefits. It should have, but obviously it does. We've got to have folks to operate those ambulances. But in the larger scheme of things, from the hospital board's viewpoint, that was not a major concern. We didn't, perhaps we should have, but we didn't delve into it as deeply as you all have. And I appreciate, and I've learned a lesson about that. When you want to hire somebody, you better talk to who's going to pay and not just
I have one more question, I'll be done. Oh, yeah, I have one more question for him.
Anyway, that was a long-winded way of.
Yes, sir. So we just found out, or I just found out last city council meeting that the mayor was the chairman of the housing, the hospital board, which, you know, there's definitely been a lot of questions asked, and we're told, hey, ask the hospital board, you know, not knowing that he was the chairman of the hospital board. Who's the CPA for the hospital board?
The what?
The CPA.
The city handles all of
BK&D.
BK&D.
We had used.
That's who files the tax return is BK&D.
BKD.
Who's BKD?
Yeah.
Hertz adopts, and they're a big
Cheryl,
accounting firm.
city
Awesome.
manager handles all the funds that belong to the hospital board.
Okay. The only reason I ask
Wait,
is
who handles the funds? No, he said, who handles the funds?
Ms. Urkel, Cheryl, our finance.
Yes, now, the hospital board paid Cheryl for record keeping, or paid the city for Cheryl's time, paid for Parks and Rec to do the upkeep, and for Jimmy City Works to do the maintenance at our buildings that we rent, that the hospital board rents. And so, yeah, they've been paying that everyday fee, but BK&D is the one that does the tax return. Right. Cheryl gives them the money.
So, Mike, I understand that you guys had to jump through a lot of hoops from the hospital board side. My issue from the city attorney side is that because city assets are involved, because the budget is going to exponentially change, that should have gone through this hoop for us to jump through, so that could have gotten approved from this end. So again, our issue, or my issue, is not with the contract itself, it's just the lack of follow-through.
We can all communicate better.
Right.
And it may be that, you know,
We did ask you to represent us. You said, no, the hospital board doesn't pay me. I'm not going to
Right, I
represent
can't
you.
represent an entity that doesn't pay the city for those services.
Right.
I would be representing
well,
anyone
that's
who
a
came to City
debatable
Hall.
point too.
So that we hired outside counsel, and that's.
Right.
Wait, okay, so do you actually pay Cheryl, or
We don't
is
pay
it one of those?
Cheryl, we pay the city of Jacksonville for her time. The hospital board does.
Wait, so you get Cheryl to work, but you don't pay her?
She works for the city.
She gets paid from the city.
Right, but the city and the hospital board are not the same entity.
Hospital board is a 501c3.
Now, it's not always just Cheryl. It's other people in finance.
Basically, the city gives the hospital board a bill for services, and the hospital
Right.
board
They
reimburses.
agreed to $15,000 a year for accounting services by the city.
Do you agree that you should have went to Stephanie with this and then bring it?
Well, because I went to her once and she said she doesn't recognize
The hospital board and the city are different, Bob.
I understand.
Do you not think it should have been brought before the council?
The 6 people should have, yes.
The whole thing should have. If you go into a contract with the city,
Well,
the council needs to be aware of what's going on.
the city
Yes,
didn't sell anything.
being aware is one thing. Having 10 or 15 council member and board members negotiate with a buyer is impossible.
By Arkansas code, by state statute, the council has to approve expenditures
property.
over, no, not the sale of property, expenditures over 25,000. This change to the budget would have had to have been approved by council.
But it's gonna have to be.
Well,
And
it's
the
already
sale of
signed and
property,
executed,
too.
Bob. I mean,
Well, it can be unexecuted if it has to be.
Your point is
not
correct.
without a lawsuit.
Transactions of this nature, once they're formulated and reduced to writing and not just rumor or negotiation, ought to be made available to you, all the city councilmen, and as far as the board's concerned, to the whole world. There's nothing secret about this. It was difficult and all that, but once it was reduced to writing and we had a time to close, then the time is there to be informed.
Okay.
And I got one more thing, and I don't know if we did it, undoubtedly we didn't
Everybody-
do it, or it would have
everybody
been
was
brought
invited
up.
to every hospital
But
commission from
had the
now
mayor
until the
came
end
to
of time.
us, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me, Mike.
I'll lose my train of thought. Had the mayor came to us in November with a resolution for us to authorize him to enter into negotiations with Unity, we would have signed off on it.
Yes, we
We
want
would
them.
not be having this discussion right now.
But even,
We would've.
but even then,
No, I'm saying, I mean, we're talking about stuff that if he would have done that one little thing in November or whenever it was, we would not be having this discussion. So let's move on to the appointments on the agenda and get out of here.
I agree. So let's do this. First of all, Mr. Wilson, we really appreciate your time coming out. We're happy for the hospital. We got everything going.
put me back on the city council.
That was my goal. But anyway, I'll make a motion to put Mike Wilson back on the council. But we understand as council members our feelings about what has been done. We don't want to really beat a dead horse because the very ones who are buying this building, we don't need this out here.
We want them to buy the building, we want them here, and we're all for what's better for the citizens of Jacksonville. And all you two gentlemen have the facts, like you said. In your opinion, we needed this ambulance, and I agree. We need to have a state-of-the-art ambulance. We just would love to know what's going on all the time, like I'm sure every city official would, and we would like to know that, and that's all we're wanting, just to know. But we want this, we don't want any discussion, no negativity. We want Unity here, because they're gonna be a great asset to the city of Jacksonville to help move us forward.
All right.
Next Thursday.
I make a motion to enter executive session.
Let me
No, you can't enter executive.
make one point. If next Thursday,
We can't do it in the
the Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring a.
I have a personnel issue.
With Unity.
I have an HR issue.
At the Chamber office.
Yes.
And that would be a perfect opportunity, and I'm gonna see to it that all of you all are invited. You may already be. I just got the email today. But it's next Thursday, the 27th at 11:30, for them to put on information, Unity to put on an information session for all of us. And I'll make sure that you all get email.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
That'd
it.
be great, yes, sir.
That's a good place to start.
We will try to be there, yes, sir.
Okay, I'd entertain the motion to suspend the rules to have an appointment to the Jacksonville Housing Authority.
So move.
What about my motion?
Pardon me?
What about my motion that I just made?
Is it,
You had a motion.
It's at the
well,
end.
you know, we
Okay,
couldn't
if
go
it's at the end, I
into,
guess, go ahead.
we could, okay.
Your discussion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jacksonville Housing Authority asked that Greg Boland be appointed to the Jacksonville Housing Authority Board. I'd entertain a motion to appoint Greg Boland.
Make a motion.
Make a second.
Okay, motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And, you know, I want to make it clear, so we have trouble going to executive session Zoom. So, June 1, the governor's released, we can only meet in person. If you're not here in person, you're not present, you're absent. So then we could easily go into executive session after June the 1st.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session. I'm not going to wait another week or another, I don't want to wait another time for somebody to get sick. Like, I don't want to do, like, we need to finish what we did a month ago.
I I want to remind you that last time we tried to go into executive session, this Zoom was all messed up.
How do you know you left before anybody even left?
I sure did.
You
About to
did.
leave again.
Yeah, well, see ya.
Can we vote on it?
Okay. Anybody want to go into executive session? I have a motion. Do I have a second to go into executive
I'll
session?
second it. He has something he wants to bring to everybody. Why not listen? We ended it last time half finished, so, I mean, stop avoiding it, let's just do it.
Councilman Smith here, you guys can sign off, I can sign off on Zoom and someone can call me from their cell phone.
You can turn the whole thing off.
Okay. And that didn't work last time, but okay.
No, they didn't go into the conference room, they stayed here. So she was saying this time they go to the conference room like they normally do, call her. Call the two council members who weren't present.
Okay. All those in favor of going into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
I hear the nays had it. Do you want a roll call?
Yes, we're gonna do roll call. I didn't,
Okay.
that was two. Councilmember Deets. Councilmember Bolden. Councilmember Blevins.
Aye.
Councilmember Sansing. Councilmember Mashburn.
Nay.
Councilmember Traylor.
No.
Councilmember Twitty. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Raines.
Aye.
4-5.
The motion fails. All right.
I'd like to make the motion
Any
to
other
expend,
announcements?
I'd like to make the motion to suspend the rules to put up a discussion for an incident that has happened at City Hall.
First, haven't what?
For us to have a discussion about my problem now and not in executive session.
Is it a personnel matter?
You could say it's a, yeah, I would say it's a personnel matter.
Needs to be handled in executive
It'll
session.
be in session, and so that,
Vote on it next time.
So
Right.
how do we,
We can all be here.
so now we're here for announcements. Any announcements need to be made? Yes.
I have a citizen that would like to speak to us, Ms. Susan Gibbs, real quickly.
Okay, so you sponsored them?
Yes, I'm sponsoring her to speak to us.
Okay, you may speak.
This is an easy one, okay? I live on Warren Street. For y'all that don't know, it's next to the
lift
library.
up your mic, just hold it.
It's next to the library between Main Street and 161. People drive down that street 50 and 60 miles an hour because it's a straight shot. There's not even a speed limit posted up there, but even if there was, I don't think anybody would do it. We need a speed bump on that street. It is very dangerous, and it is a neighborhood. It's got children. And I don't know where y'all live, but I do know you don't want anyone driving 50 or 60 miles per hour in front of your house. And I've called a few times about this, and I never got any response. So I decided to pay you a visit and see if I could get maybe something like that done.
Okay, Chief Hibbs, would you address your all's new plan with your new captain over patrol to alleviate this, and knowing where is important to this?
You mean what we discussed today?
Yeah, what we discussed today with,
This is my aunt. I didn't know she was speaking today. I didn't even know what she's going to bring up. So,
you've made some changes.
I have made some personnel changes at the police department. I have Captain Washington now is over patrol. He lives in town. I now live in town. One of the things everybody notices is the traffic is horrific. It has been that way since the beginning of pandemic. There's not a street intersection in town that doesn't have donuts, skid marks, and people speeding on it. We do the best we can, but that's everywhere. And so he has noticed certain things, and as in his new position, we're going to start some heavy traffic enforcement. Main Street, I put the speed sign on Ray Road yesterday. They're complaining by the Little Vikings field. They came out and thanked the guys that were putting it out. It's so bad over there. I don't know if I told you that, but I meant to. Southeastern, Main Street is bad. It's a narrow street. They're doing 60, miles an hour. I see it, you guys see it, but when you're in a police car with lights on top, you don't see it. It's a weird thing. I see it in an unmarked car, but when you're in a police car, people drive fairly normal. And so I'm working on that right now. So Warren is a through street, as you know, and like all of them, we're having a bad traffic problem, but that's everywhere. Ever since the pandemic and traffic enforcement stopped for several months there, people got nuts. They're nuts right now. So crime is going up a little bit, and people just aren't acting right.
One more thing then.
Yes, ma'am.
At the end of Warren at 161, a stop sign was taken out during the snow, and it was reported, and they put a tire there with a pole sticking out of it, and it's usually off over in the ditch. So maybe we could get a stop sign put down there too, at
Okay,
least.
Mr. Oakley, we could make that happen.
I'll do my best. It's under state highway jurisdiction.
Oh.
We did notify them.
Okay.
Notify them as well, the highway department to get that correct.
Okay.
I have a statement. I have a statement I'd like to make. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. Go ahead.
This is Councilmember Mashburn. My mother lives on Warren Street, and I have been dealing with the problems that she's talking about for going on, I don't know, 8, 9 years now. So it's an ongoing thing, but it's everywhere. And Chief Hibbs, I thank you so much for all the pressure that you've been putting on these speeders around town.
Definitely.
That's all, thank you.
We have increased our traffic enforcement here recently on Main Street. You may see them out there. I'm looking at a grant right now, a STEP grant, Selective Traffic Enforcement Micro Grant. And that will pay officers to do traffic enforcement for certain things, seatbelt, distracted driving. They pay it, we do it for overtime, the government, or really the state, the feds reimburse us for that, so that's good too. We're applying for that right now. The speed sign, like I said, is out on Ray Road, and that's what I use to do studies. It collects data. And so it's going to be on Ray Road for at least a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. We like to have it out there to collect enough data to see what the patterns are. I can try, now I don't know what your thoughts are on a speed bump on Warren, but I can put speed sign out there next. But we have lots of requests for it. But if you want to look towards that direction, I'll put speed sign out there.
Nice.
I appreciate that. The last
That
time we
records
tried
and
to
you can
get
see
speed
every car
bump,
that went by.
It collects for the time of day, and if a car's going, 5 over, 10 over, 15 over, and how many per hour. Yeah, so it collects pretty good data. And how fast they're going, so you get some pretty good ones.
Worked real good in Stonewall.
We did it quite a bit in Stonewall. And,
Yeah.
We recently upgraded the DVR, the little hard drive thing, and it went bad. And it's an old sign, but we did some upgrades, and it's working pretty well.
Thank you. I have a quick statement I'd like to make. During the last city council meeting, not the last one, but the one beforehand, when we went into executive session, one of the comments that was made by Bishop Bolden was, we can't go into executive session because you're not here. If you wanted to go into executive session, you should have came here. He said you should have been down here. I just want to state for the record that Bob Johnson had sent out a email stating that the city council chambers would be limited to 10 people. And since I knew that there were a lot of people that were not technologically advanced and didn't have the computers or the microphones or the cameras to really do it, I opted to stay at home to allow that seat to go somebody that did not end up having it. Now also I've been part of, I want to say, hundreds. I kind of want to say 1,000, but I don't want to be wrong. But I have been a part of 100 Zoom meetings that have been privatized, where no one can see it, even after being, streamed online or anything. So I think that was, I think the whole idea behind not going into executive session because we're streaming is definitely irrelevant. I think that we absolutely have the technology to do that here right now, and we could do it if it would have passed. And I want to let everyone know that the reason that I want to go into executive session is the same reason why I wanted to do it a month ago that kept getting pushed off and bashed off, is that I do not feel right being on a city council with someone who is supposed to be our leader that continues to misinform us, continues to keep things from us, continues to do things wrong. Now, I made a statement during that city council meeting, during the special one, that, I said, I asked twice and he said no. I was kind of paraphrasing that. What actually happened during that meeting is I said, hey, look, I didn't see an appraisal. Was there one done? In which the mayor said, I don't know, which was basically not true because he had one done on February 2nd. And then he said something along, he thought there was one that was for more, but then he stated again that he did not have, the city did not have one done, which also is fundamentally not true. And from that, we had every single turn, every single rock that I have overturned has yet something else that isn't right. And man, I got on this council to do what is right for the people, and having statements in the newspaper about I make the decisions, what is best for the residents and not the city council. I mean, I've looked for decisions to be made and I haven't seen any, except for a veto, which was to slap us.
All I asked you to go back and listen to that meeting. I did not say there wasn't one, so there is, and it's higher than what we had. I just don't remember when we got it, so.
You said you did not do one. You said the city did not have one.
All I'm asking, go back and listen to the.
I just said that you said that there was one that was more than 300, but the city did not do it.
No, I'm not gonna argue with you. This is enough.
I mean, you can't argue with facts. That's the problem. You can't argue with facts.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is I don't understand how the other council members can be on here and be okay with knowing that, I mean, again, all the things that we uncovered just in this last month.
Brian,
The last month.
If you want executive session, you can have it in 1 June, but what you're putting out here in the public right now is not a good thing.
Well,
So you need to stand down, and then we just have a meeting 1 June. Now, you all might disagree with what I'm saying, but it's fact. We're a city entity.
I definitely know the difference between facts and not facts.
I do too.
Executive session, but it was voted down. So.
How we can't go, never mind, you know what?
We definitely can go into executive session.
I know what I'm doing in the morning.
We have a next city council meeting is June the 3rd. You bring it up again, and when everybody's here, or everybody that can be here, we don't have to do anything on the phone. I will vote for it.
I will too.
Okay.
If everybody's in the room, I'll vote for it. But all this putting public stuff out here like this is
It's public's information.
Look, don't go back and forth with me.
It's public information.
Okay, this is enough.
Well, don't threaten me, Bishop. Well, you're definitely raising your voice
Anything else?
like you're trying to
Ho,
intimidate.
ho,
All
order.
right, you guys. No, I have an announcement.
Hey, this is what we need to remember, that we all represent the citizens of Jacksonville. When we're proclaiming this, that we can't get along, we're still going backwards. We need to remember, let's try to get along. Let's go in executive session, Brian. I'm not saying it's wrong, but let's do it June 1st when everybody's here. But let's not get into argument up here in a fighting match. I mean, come on. We have to follow our leader.
Announcements.
Even if you don't agree with him. Commander-in-chief sometimes make decisions we don't agree. But let's live with them, but let's get over it here and go in executive session. But, we need to really, we don't need to be fighting up here and arguing all the time.
I agree. Yeah, no, that was Blevin's
for
announcement and then Dietz. I have an announcement as well. Because after everything that's been said here at this meeting and everything that was said since the emergency meeting, I need to make myself clear. All in all, I know that Mayor Johnson is a kind person who wants to make his family proud and leave a legacy that will last in our community. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a universal human feeling, and I'm glad that we have people like Bob who take pride in what they do. Unfortunately, with several other prior instances, including what's been brought to us tonight, as well as finding out that after that emergency meeting, he contacted the Municipal League trying to find a way that he could enter into a legal contract of more than $20,000 without presenting it in front of this council, the council who represents the citizens that he works for. That universal feeling is not enough. I do admire his relentless desire as well as his ingenuity, but this is no way to run a transparent city. We have rules, code, and proper procedural guidelines for a reason. There should not be double standards when it comes to this. To my constituents, I understand your frustrations, but that means that we have a lot of work ahead of us. We must exercise our civic duty every way we possibly can. When I was asked what I would do to help my hometown move past the drama, I said that the truth will set us free, and I meant it. Now we face something seldomly discussed, but with great opportunities in the future. Madison's sorrow is a conservative argument based on principles set forth by our founding fathers on how to face the illiberals who have taken our government hostage. Jacksonville is no exception. And for the record, an illiberal democracy is a governing system in which, although elections take place, citizens are cut off from the knowledge about the activities of those who exercise power, just like what we've been dealing with. VOK's study in Southern politics, state, and nation cited in this book was based on hundreds of confidential interviews with Southern elites, and it just goes to show that the elites reel people in by informal talk, and informal talk breeds trust, trust breeds candor, and candor breeds subjects seldom discussed, like the hospital. And we'll never discuss attributions or who worked on what's presented to us. This is what we face here and now in Jacksonville, even including several voting members meeting about family business like the mafia before the emergency meeting. Kevin O'Leary continued with how the people with an elitist mindset, no matter the city, maintain the feudal-like rule and encourage political passivity. They opposed any political program that tended to elevate and excite the masses, black and white. Well, despite everything, I'm here. Mayor Johnson.
Thank you. All right.
Democracy is within our hands, but we cannot be politically passive if we want change. Anyone who has an interest in internet access and a smartphone, or a library card for that matter, can watch and see for their own eyes how the mayor and members are representing the community and make sure that there is accountability. We're facing the elitist mindsets of those who don't think that we rightfully have a seat at the decision-making table. So let them know that what they want to sell, that there was no appraisal done, that there was a non-disclosure agreement. I'm sorry, I don't know what else you want me to say. It was open to the public, or I didn't lie, or whatever sales pitch that they got coming out of their mouth that day. If you are frustrated, then let them know loud and clear that there are no buyers here when it comes to that load of malarkey. We must be a governing body of the people, not over the people, which means that we must do our civic duties if we want with liberty and justice for all to mean anything. Everything that we experience is universal. Every feeling that we have are human, including the feelings that I and many members on this council have been vocal about. Last emergency meeting on a Wednesday and today. Speak up when they try to silence you. Stand up when they shove you down. No one gets to define you, you do. Never stop fighting for what we all deserve. And please keep voting, keep using your voice, and start running. We have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Thank you. All right, anything else to come before this council? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, no.
We're adjourned.